Goldman Brothers, back on the farm. You're listening to Mornings at Lone Star. Good morning, Montgomery County. It's 8:11. It is April Fool's today, so watch out, watch your back, watch your front. You never know what's going to come at you, especially over here at Lone Star. But, I'm not kidding you. We do have a great lineup today. I'm very excited. If you guys didn't know, we have an opportunity later today at 4 p.m. to broadcast live from Sam Houston State University, the Woodland Center, the Senate District 4 Candidate Forum. So we're going to be out there broadcasting live so you can hear all those guys running for Senate District 4. There's a huge list of them. If you don't know who is running right now, it's Steve Toth, Brandon Creighton, Michael Galloway, and Gordy Bunch. That's all coming up later at 4 p.m. on Lone Star Internet Radio. But right now, it's Mornings with Lone Star. Like I said, good morning. It's going to be a beautiful day. The weather is going to be perfect, I think. I have a theory. It's getting better and better. It's 66 degrees outside with the high looking at around 78 and a low around 66. But more on the weather coming up later on Mornings with Lone Star, because right now I have probably one of the coolest people in Montgomery County in the studio. I know I'm excited about it. It's kind of like when you're in that situation, you start reading about somebody and you read more before you even know the person, and you want to meet this person so bad. It's almost like a celebrity. I feel like I have a celebrity in the studio. But Kyle Hutton is in the studio. I don't know if you know who Kyle Hutton is, but I know who it is. He's part of a production, one of the coolest productions here in Montgomery County called Real Life, Real Music, and he's in the studio over here in Lone Star. So this is really cool. Kyle, welcome to Lone Star Internet Radio.
I'm glad to be here, and after that introduction, I think the rest of the show is just going to be a big letdown for everybody.
No way. I mean, no, you have so much stuff to support you. I mean, if you're on your computer right now and you're listening to us and you want to know more of what we're talking about, especially with Kyle, realliferealmusic.com kind of gives you a wrap around of what we're talking about, how Kyle treats music, because he reading this stuff and listening to the way he interviews, he has so much respect for music, and especially for songwriting. And it's so neat for you to be talking to these artists that most people normally wouldn't get a chance to listen to on the other side of instead of the loud big band stuff. It's, hey, play me something, tell me about it, and you keep it short and simple. It's not like, hey, let's talk for 30 minutes and play a 3-minute song.
Yeah.
So
it really all started for me as a fan, of music. Long before I ever wrote my first song, music was important in my life, and early on I figured out that sometimes I could understand more about how I was feeling because I would hear a song.
Oh yeah.
And I would go, man, how did they know? That's exactly how I feel, or I felt like that before. And so music's been such a strong contributor to my life personally, that I started writing songs, and I've had the opportunity, fortunately, to perform those songs for folks, on occasion, and Real Life, Real Music's just kind of an outpouring of that, of being a huge fan of music, and I have a lot of respect for the people that write it, and I guess I'm just real inquisitive about where it comes from.
Oh yes.
And I think hopefully that comes through, in the radio program, and the other thing is there's kind of a time and a place for everything, and what I think makes Real Life, Real Music interesting is we tend to focus on those messages behind the music that are kind of beneath the surface, So I want to understand what makes somebody tick from a family perspective, or from just a roots, what's really in their heart, what are their beliefs, those kind of things. I really like to kind of dig down into those songs.
Well, especially when you listen to their music and you're kind of like sort of like, for example, I'm a little bit more on a classic folk area when it comes to singer-songwriting, and you have people like James Taylor and Jackson Browne, where like their scale of their mood can just go 180.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And you're like, man, what happened during this time? Like, this is the most bizarre song. And then the more and more you listen to it, you actually see what they were, like, the root of what was going on. And then it opens up a book, Because I know when I listen to artists, I'm like, this song was really good. So I go on, thank goodness for Google, because I just start researching people. And then Wikipedia, of course, is even nicer. It's more convenient because people, you don't know if it's true or not, but people write about their history and stuff like that. And it's just, and that's when I started really listening to music when I was a lot younger, probably 13, 12, and I started listening to those guys like Neil Young. Neil Young's one of the weirdest people I know, and just it gets weirder and weirder the more I listen to his music.
Yes.
But then when you meet people who like that stuff, it's just, you can't stop talking about it.
Yeah. No, it's there's a different plane that some people are on, and their ability to communicate how they see reality is really, really cool. And some of my favorite shows that we've had the opportunity to do have been with people that, if we said their name, most of the general public wouldn't know who they are, but they're just prolific communicators through song, and that's really cool to me, when I get to become a huge new fan of somebody because I've gotten to sit as close as, we're sitting right now and watch them.
That's so much BS.
Impart their craft.
That's so much BS. You get to do that. That's so cool.
It is, man. It is. I always have the best seat in the house.
I believe it.
Yeah.
And then when I would listen to this stuff, you do ask some pretty informative questions. Like, you seem to know what you want to ask before you get up there, and then you especially tie it into what it's almost like you know the answer almost. So you're trying to make the artist feel more comfortable answering it because you kind of have like you already kind of know the backstory, and you remind them.
Yeah, you've heard what happens when you assume, right?
Yeah.
I can't say it probably on the radio, but
we're on internet radio. You
It
can
makes
say whatever
one
you
of
want.
you and me, So I like to assume if I've listened to somebody's music and know something about their story that I might have some idea about where the answer to a question is going to go. But sometimes I'm wrong. There's those times where I'll assume that something's really, really deep, and I'll ask the question, and then they'll go, "No, not really.
No.
I just read that on a street sign and thought I'd write it."
Thought it sounded good. I mean, you're like, oh man.
So there's been some stick my foot in my mouth times on the stage there at Do-Si-Do. But yeah, I mean, I do. Since I do have a real respect for the songwriters and for their craft, I typically spend some time beforehand doing what you're talking about, and that's hopping online and learning about who they are, reading their liner notes and their records, doing anything that I can to have a bit of an understanding about the person that I'm sitting across from, and what kind of time, effort, and energy they've put in, over the years, and I think that's important because you know this when you it's a totally different deal when you know something about somebody or what they've contributed. It's a totally different interaction than if somebody's just coming in cold and you're like,
that's what I'm saying.
So hey, who are you, man? What's up? Glad you're here.
That's what I'm saying. When I got the email that you were going to come in here, and I go, wait a second, this isn't the same guy, is it? This isn't the same guy. And I was like, and it is.
Well, I appreciate that.
So, but no, I have thousands of questions.
Hit me. Yeah.
One thing I always wondered, especially about the real life, real music, is how do you set it up? How do you set up the lineup? Because, like, for example, you got Mike Zito coming in, Cameron Nelson, Hal Ketchum, and then you have Jason Yee. Like, that's a good, well-rounded group of people, not just, the up-and-coming stars mixed in with some of the really established, like Hal Ketchum. That's going to be a neat show.
Yes. Hal is Hal's awesome. Man, it kind of just it has a little life of its own. I mean, booking in 6-month increments sounds like a really good idea because you'd like to have a full season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always that easy because obviously artists are, they're making their living out on the road, which means they need to route properly and book properly and those kind of things. So we do run into issues since we do try to book that far out. So we try to, like probably in the next, we're at the beginning of season 14. Yeah, still at the beginning of season 14. We'll start booking season 15 in another 45 days, 60 days. So we're pretty far out, right? And it's hard for artists to want to commit
That far
to
out,
something
yeah.
that far out because, I mean, what if they get put on a tour or whatever? Nobody wants to cancel on somebody. So it is a logistical challenge to book that far out. And just like anything else, I mean, we make a lot of inquiries in order to book 12 shows,
Well, the one thing when I was reading the set list and your pad, like you said, you have 14 seasons. I go, you developed this thing, Real Life, Real Music, into a program. When they read about it, it's almost like they want to do the show. They want to make. I imagine that running through their minds. They want to make it work.
There is now some like I've give you an example. An artist, singer-songwriter by the name of Darden Smith, who's just amazing. And Darden's been around forever. And he and Radney Foster have written a lot of stuff, and they were up at Do-Si-Do, and I went by to say hi. And Darden said, Kyle, my parents are from this area, and they keep asking me when I'm going to get to do your show because in some way, shape, or form, they'll think that means that I've made it. I'm like, man, I am humbled and laugh along with you at that. But we have been doing it. We've done it for 14 seasons, so we're closing in on 7 years because we book in 6-month increments. And in that you and I do a lot of the same things, you'll get this, Dick, and that is that if you would have told me 8 years ago that I would have interviewed my heroes,
I'm telling you, it's BS.
Larry Gatlin,
your lineup, man,
of the Gatlin
what?
brothers, Mark Chestnut, Daryl Scott, Chuck Cannon, some of the best songwriters, Dean Dillon, some of the best songwriters on the planet that I would have had the opportunity to sit down and talk with them. And the artists too, the Hal Ketchums, the country music that my wife and I were dancing to at the Hall of Fame in College Station. We're in college with Billy Dean, Susie Boggess, Michael Martin Murphy.
Because when you see guys like that, you're like, I really wonder what was going on. Like,
oh yeah, and we've had some cool. You mentioned Steamboat earlier when we were talking. We've done a handful of offsite shows over the years. We've done Steamboat. We've recorded some episodes at Steamboat Music Fest over the last 3 years. We've gone up there and recorded some episodes. And then we recorded this marathon episode that we then chopped up at the Black Tie and Boots inaugural gala in Washington, D.C. year before, or I guess a year ago, January. Yeah. And that was unreal. We did what we called a revolving in the round. Okay, so we were up on a stage that Do-Si-Do was sponsoring there. And this is the party that the state of Texas throws after the inauguration. No matter whether a Democrat or Republican wins,
there's always a party. Always have a party.
So we did this revolving in the round where all of these artists from Texas that were up there participating in this party got to come through. So imagine that our schedule was like on stage, just rotating in and out. Radney Foster, Jack Ingram, Mark Chestnut, Charlie Pride, Ray Benson, Alan Shamblin, Gary Nicholson, Jody Booth, Scott Brown. I mean, just go down the list from the biggest to the newest, greatest up-and-comers, all coming in, and we did a 6-hour radio show on the stage.
And where can I find that?
Where you'll have to tune in as we broadcast the segments, and I'll let you know when we're going to do that.
That's some crud.
So here's the deal. So we've had the opportunity to do some off-site stuff like that, but one of the coolest things that I ever got to do was a couple of years ago at Steamboat. Because again, I'm a big fan and I'm a history nut, and so we had Larry Gatlin and Gary P. Nunn, along with myself and the director of Texas Music History, Dr. Gary Hartman. So the four of us sat down in a room and we talked about, because Larry was in Nashville in the late 60s through the 70s. Gary P. Nunn was band leader for Jerry Jeff Walker and doing his own thing here in Texas in that same time period. And so we sat down and we kind of dissected the differences of what was going on in Nashville versus what was going on in Texas in the late 60s and 70s. And it was just, to be able to have those conversations and capture some of that has just been, one of the most amazing parts of what we've gotten to do at Real Life Real Music.
Man, why do you got to release it in segments? I'm thinking, I almost want to do something illegal about it. That's how good this stuff is. I'm like, all right, what do I?
That's my plan later. I'll just bootleg all of it.
Just put it on the black market. To see.
I'll just have to sell enough that I can disappear, and none of these renegade Texas artists can come find me.
Well, I can't believe they don't want to sell it.
Here's the deal. At some point,
there's definitely problems with that. So
I'm not going to say at some point that we haven't thought about. We've got some amazing archives, and I think at some point there will be opportunities to organize that and do stuff with that.
It makes me think of I remember, I don't know how long ago, I think it was about 8 years ago when Pearl Jam released their live, basically their live archive downloads, where they literally put up every single show.
Yeah.
And because now technology, like most boards, you just have to put a thumb drive in, and you can just record. And I think that's what they do. They can make it all like, oh, we spent so much time remastering. I'm like, no, just give me the show.
Yeah, sure.
And that's what, and they started doing that for every single show. And I think they might change it to a subscription base, but you could buy I think each show is like $9.
And you appreciate this because of the business that you're in. I think. For one thing, for a band to be able to do that owns the rights to all their material.
That's where you want to be.
For them to decide, we just want to do this. The thing that gets a little more difficult for Real Life Real Music is that we have so many different artists, and even beneath those artists, you have different people that have written some of the songs or contributed to some of the songs.
Especially you got people like Hal Ketchum and stuff like that. You got people who have several albums.
You got several albums, and then he's probably, over the course of his career written for 4 or 5 different publishers. So just when you talk about the administration of a catalog like that and all of the clearances in order to keep it on the
a lot of paper.
Up and up.
A lot of paper.
There's a lot of management. So I think at some point you'll see more of that.
It's just so good. Yeah. And I'm like, come on. That's probably what I would say on the phone with everybody. I'm like, we got everyone on the phone. Just come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come on. Let us do it.
But no, it's just so cool because live music, it's kind of ironic because I don't really go out to a lot of live music unless it's somebody I really enjoy. Yeah. And they have that kind of atmosphere. And that's why I was so excited when I found out about what you do at Do-Si-Do, because that's my jam right there. That's where I want to be. It's quiet, and then I can somewhat talk to somebody next to you, talk about the artist, talk about, and especially listen, because it's a little bit more in the way I see it, more captivating instead of just someone going up there and doing a set list and you're singing along with the songs. You're kind of learning a little bit more about the artist.
Yeah, it's a different vibe. Saturday night, we were with some friends. One of our friends had their birthday this last weekend, so we all went to Green and went out to the Whitewater Amphitheater and saw Wade Bowen and Randy Rogers open for Merle Haggard. And so we got to watch Merle get up there and do his thing. And I'd love to sit down with Merle, and at the same time, I loved seeing him with his full band doing his live thing. So it's really 2 totally different vibes. You could almost come hear the songs at a Real Life Real Music show and then immediately go hear a full band set. And even though you were hearing the same songs, it would be like different. 2 totally different.
Well, that's how I feel about Randy Rogers.
Totally different shows.
Because when I listen to that, I've listened to Randy Rogers before the band, and I was like, oh yeah, it's good. Like, it's typical. Mm-hmm. I would say, typical is kind of a rude word to describe it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it has that sound, it has a good sound.
Yeah.
But when I listened to his live stuff, I was like, or his acoustic live, I was like, man, this guy's pretty cool. Like, I like the way he writes songs about chicks, and why not?
He and Brady did a great set. His fiddle player, they played the other night, and they do a lot of the acoustic stuff together, and they're really good. Yeah.
Because I'll never forget. We gotta take a break. Actually, we gotta take a break. We can't. We gotta take a break. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna play 2 songs for you guys. One a new artist, Zane Williams, and then one of my favorite songwriters, Lyle Lovett. So here is some Zane Williams. His new hit, Little Too Late. You're listening to Lone Star in the Mornings. We'll be right back with Kyle Hutton of Real Life, Real Music. That was Lyle Lovett with If I Had a Boat. That's one of my favorite songs. It's one of my favorite songs by him.
Great.
But we're back with Mornings with Lone Star. It's 8:39. We're flying by. I'm sitting here talking with Kyle Hutton of Real Life, Real Music. Is there any other thing I should tell people what you do? Because I feel like there's more to you than just Real Life, Real Music.
Well, yeah, man. I got 3 boys running around the house, and a wife that's probably pulling her hair out because I get to come sit and talk to cool people like you, and she has to get them off to school and do all that stuff. Yeah, no, man, I'm here in the area. We live out in Magnolia, and the majority of what we do is over at Do-Si-Do, and so, man, I'm a local family guy just like everybody else, and I started doing Real Life, Real Music because I was a fan first and then a songwriter. And so I've had fun, in a great creative outlet doing my stuff as well, and get to play around town. We'll be at the Do-Si-Do. I'll be at the Do-Si-Do Music Cafe with my band on April 26th.
Okay.
April 26th is the upcoming date. And I've been doing this for a long time, Dick, as far as a songwriter goes. And last time we played Music Cafe, we had our first official sellout. And so I've now become a sellout. At least once.
In a good way.
In a good way.
That's good.
So yeah, man. So it's always fun to play around here, with your friends and family, and just a lot of support. And we're so grateful for that.
So you're a songwriter. So now I got to ask you my songwriting questions.
Sure.
Because I always like to know. I always like to know the process, and I always like to know when from the beginning of writing into the end of writing, like today, and then when you first started.
Yeah.
What has changed the most? And then I can figure out more questions. But the first one is, what's your process?
Man, it's kind of all over the board. I mean, I have songs that probably I'll give you 2 ends of the spectrum. One end of the spectrum, we put a song called Cowboy Tears on our second CD. I've done 4 CDs, and our second CD, song called Cowboy Tears, from start to finish, 4 years.
Wow.
Because it started with an opening line or 2
that you read on some newspaper.
So good. Well, yeah, and the first 2 lines were so good that anytime I would try to write anything else, it was like parking a Yugo next to a Mercedes. It just didn't work right.
And how do you store that?
Well,
do you have like an index card that you keep in your back pocket with the 2 lines, and you're like, all right, I gotta think about this today?
I have notebooks and notebooks of just scribble, and lines here and there.
4 years.
I like the Willie Nelson. I think it was Willie Nelson that said it. He said, if you have to write it down to remember it, then it wasn't that good. And I don't know, I don't know if I completely live by that, but now, I'm not as quick to write stuff down as I used to be, just because if it really sticks with me, then it really sticks with me.
And you say that as you're aging too, which is going to work in the end.
Yeah,
I'm just letting you know.
Not going to work. Either that, or I'll just be saying the same lyrics over and over to myself all the time. So anyway, that's one end of the spectrum, that I've had songs that have taken me a long time. The other end of the spectrum, I sat down a week ago, and it just fell. A new song just fell out, and I liked it. Sometimes when they fall out, they need a lot of writing and rewriting, but sometimes you just get something. So and then as far as what comes first, music or lyrics, typically for me, it starts with a lyric. I think I'm stronger lyrically than I am, coming up with new guitar parts or riffs.
Well, can you read music and write music?
No, I don't read it. I took piano for a while when I was a kid, and then I've done a lot of singing. So from perspective of being able to look at music and, I
okay, now here's gonna be a different question with that idea is, when you meet artists, do you see them having an advantage knowing how to read and write music and how it affects them the way they basically play and they write their music?
I don't know. It's hard. Here's what's hard to tell. What's hard to tell is whether artists are really schooled in theory or just really schooled in real life and practice, because you can play guitar and you can write melodies without being able to read music, because it's just about. Okay, let's see what we can do here. You like kind of the folkier kind of stuff.
I like stories.
Yeah, so I'm gonna I'll lay this one on you. You're in the entertainment business, so you'll kind of you'll understand this. I think sometimes from the outside looking in, I know it was this way for me when I first started looking and kind of going behind the scenes of the music business, if you will. It's all kind of smoke and lights and glamorous and, hey, I'm a songwriter. I'm in the radio business. You know what I mean? Like whatever all that is. And there's some certain, mindsets that the public has, about what that means.
Assumptions.
Like you and I, man, I noticed all the money sticking out of your pockets when you sat down behind that console, just because you're in the entertainment business. And so anyway, the truth of the matter is, and I love, you mentioned Zane Williams earlier, his last single was Overnight Success. And if you listen to that song, it talks about all of the years and everything you had to do to be a quote unquote overnight success. And so anyway, this song is, it's called Wallets and Watches. And my 16-year-old son contributed some to this one. So I'm going to try to do this one for you this morning. Dreams don't have a wallet or watch. They take their time and never mind the cost. They might not even notice when you've given all you got, 'cause dreams don't have a wallet or a watch. And hope don't know discretion or despair. She just runs around without a single care. She's got this reckless need to find me when I haven't got a prayer. No hope, don't know discretion or despair. And it don't give up, and it don't quit. And you'll know it's true when it feels like this. Love has no beginning, has no end. It flies clear across the sky and back again. And it'll warm you like a smile from a long lost friend. Yeah, love has no beginning, it has no end. And it don't give up, and it don't quit. And you'll know it's true when it feels like this. Yeah, don't give up, and it don't quit. So when things get tough, just remember this. The dreams don't have a wallet or watch. They take their time and never mind the cost. They might not even notice when you've given all you got. 'Cause dreams don't have a wallet or a watch. Yeah, dreams don't have a wallet. Hope don't know discretion. And love has no beginning. It has no end.
April 26th, Do Music Cafe. Right?
Yep, that's it.
That's where you can hear that song?
Yeah,
And
I bet we'll play that one.
And it's called
That's Wallets and Watches.
Wallets and Watches. You can actually probably get that version online legally here in about an hour. So just keep an eye out.
I love it. I love it. The illegal version always has some bad notes in it. That's the perfect part.
Those are the ones I like.
That's good.
I asked an artist that one time. I was like, you made it when you can illegally download your music.
Hey, there you go. There you have it.
So because people are up, because that means somebody took the time to upload
right.
it.
No, that's right.
So, and I know a lot of artists are kind of looking that way as I guess a way is crowdsourcing. I guess they try to see.
Yeah. I think that the industry has changed, and obviously you want to as a writer, I guess part of the acknowledgement that you're good at your craft is being able to get paid for it. And at the same time, there's that fine line between, if somebody downloading that song, which would have, I don't know, made me, if it was on a record, somebody else's record, it might have made me 9 cents if they bought it in royalties, versus they buy it and then they come buy a $15 ticket to come see a show. And they walk out with a T-shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, somebody was. I was reading an article. I think it was in Rolling Stone about how some of these bands are seen where people are downloading their music, and that's where they start playing because you can track that, and I guess they're trying to see like where people are illegally downloading their music.
Yeah, well, I know for a fact that I think what you're finding now, instead of people fighting the system, you know how if you get caught in an undertow, they tell you to just kind of relax and just go with it. I think maybe in some ways the publishing and copywriting industry is looking at the internet and just going, oh my gosh,
well, it's also
the biggest undertow ever.
Well, the amazing thing is the transition, how fast it happened, because I now know everybody just goes, they don't own records. They don't own the music, and I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
you gotta own it.
Deal.
And like, no, we have Spotify. I do Spotify or I have Pandora. I'm like, no, I listen to Pandora, but if I like somebody, I'm going to go out and buy the hard copy because I like having the hard copy, and then I can put it on any device I want. I have no limitations to what I'm allowed to do with that music. Because that was one of my biggest things when I was younger is we had records, and then when we started, my brother's a tech guy, and we were one of the first people to have a CD burner. Mm-hmm. In the block,
right?
And that was the craziest thing to me because I was like, oh, I can make CDs, I can burn CDs, and I remember the first CD I burned illegally was the Blink-182, the new one, the biggest one they had that they blew up, and I had it probably like 6 months before everybody. They're like, where'd you get this CD? And I'm like, I don't know, my brother got it for me. But I didn't think about the world as it changing for the music world.
Yeah, I mean, but and the flip side of that is that I mean, in the music business, I think for artists, touring has always been a really, really important part of the equation. I think, at least right now, given the fact that people aren't buying $15 records to access music all the time, they may be buying a 99-cent single. And so it is an important, touring has become an even more important part of the revenue stream for an artist. Yeah.
There's a whole world to touring, and it's an interesting industry, especially for the well-established artists, because they do little shows, they do big shows, and then they do amphitheaters, and then they just how much money they make from that. But then a lot of people don't really think how often they work, and especially the summer tours. I mean, that's I can't imagine that.
Yeah,
So you're gonna start touring soon? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
because of family and just everything else. You kind of make your your decisions about how you want to live your life and where you want to spend your time. And we spend, we do 24 tapings a year at Do-Si-Do. We have a weekly syndicated radio show in 8 markets in Texas and 1 in California. We spend a lot of time. We produce over, you put all the events together, radio shows, tapings, festivals, everything that Real Life Real Music promotes, and we promote, over 100 events a year. So the good news for me right now is I stay pretty busy within a 10-mile radius of my house, which is great for family life. And at the same time, I always have the itch as a songwriter to be out there playing my stuff, And so
we also got to look to people like Guy Clark, who still plays.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
So keep that in mind, because you can really go to the end. Like I think that guy is going to literally die
on stage,
yeah. Or as he's leaving, or he's getting ready.
I get it.
It's kind of like Ray Price, because Ray Price just came out with a new record, and the man's had passed.
Yeah.
So he's still making music.
No doubt. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. It's I think if there's one thing that I've discovered in the 150 or so people I've interviewed, that are successful songwriters, if there was one commonality, if I had to say there was one, here's the one I would say that there is. I personally believe, after sitting with them, that they would be doing it whether they were making the amount of money they're making or not. In other words, it's part of their fabric. It's part of who they are. And so, whether Michael Martin Murphey was the greatest cowboy selling artist of all time or not, I believe he would still be writing songs. And I believe that to be true of 99.9% of the people that I've had the opportunity to interview. So at the end of the day, is it about financial success? Is everybody's got to feed their family and that sort of thing. But I think more than anything, it's about expressing who you are and doing what you were put here to do.
I've been really rude to our audience. I'm talking with Kyle Hutton. I realize I haven't said your name in probably about 30 minutes. I'm with Kyle Hutton of Real Life Real Music. We're talking about the radio program, about songwriting. This guy is a songwriter himself, but he also gets an opportunity to talk to some of the coolest songwriters out there today, and he's continuing to do it. I encourage everyone to check out realliferealmusic.com for all their stuff. One thing we didn't touch on is y'all have a student program.
We do.
So that's something I did not want to forget, because I think a person who I enjoy, Shelly Coley, is she writes.
Yes.
And her music, every time I see her live, it reminds me of the concerts you do, because she takes the time to talk about it.
No doubt.
Because some people don't have to. Like when you go see people at venues, they can just literally get up there, play their tunes, and get the heck out. But she and I always appreciate when people take their time, especially at bigger concerts. Even just a quick 40-second, hey, this song I just wrote last summer, girl broke up with me. I like that a lot more than let's just sing the song.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this: you and I share that. I'm a big Shelly Coley fan, and I've been a Shelly Coley fan for a long time. And even before I knew her, which is how that happens for me a lot. I become a fan of somebody, and then I end up getting to meet them, which is really cool. So, yes, our student programs are. It's really interesting. We just kind of had this idea, because I've got kids, and at the time, my oldest was really interested in music and writing, and at the time we were first conceiving this, and I just thought, we have access to one of the best music venues in the nation, Do-Si-Do. I'm a partner in a recording studio in Magnolia where Shelly Coley and FFR, Folk Family Revival, and Scooter Brown Band, and Mark, we do a lot. We record a lot of records over there. And so we've got this great venue, we've got this recording studio, and what if we had this summer day camp? What if we had just a week-long camp where I brought in some of my songwriter friends, and we spent a couple of days helping kids finish a song, and then we spent a couple of days over in the recording studio doing acoustic demos of the song, and then we came back and rehearsed the song. I mean, what if they could actually start with a blank page and then perform the song that week? And
Well, it sounds like one of your challenges.
Yeah. Well, we could give them the experience of what it's like to be a songwriter in like a week period.
Yeah.
In a summer day camp. So we put that together. This will be our fourth or fifth summer doing this. The first summer we had one camp here in Houston, 15 kids. Second year we had 3 camps.
Oh, wow.
16 kids. Fourth year we had 4 camps, 16 kids.
Each camp, or is that 16
each
total?
Camp,
okay.
Each camp. So we did over 60, 70 original songs with kids last summer. This summer we've got 4 camps in Houston and our first in Austin. And the amazing thing to me, well, there's 2 things. First off, there's a lot of talented kids, students out there. I call them kids. They're students. I mean, they're from 10 years old to seniors in high school to 18 years old. And man, we'll just say the torch is going to be carried well, in the next generation of songwriters that are coming up, because we've already seen a ton of them, right?
That's cool.
That are already, just kind of eating up with it. You know what I mean? Like they're huge fans and they love to write and sing and perform. And so this summer we'll have 4 camps in Houston, 1 camp in Austin. And so the student part of it's awesome. But then also seeing how the songwriting community has rallied. I mean, we have mentors. We have Grammy Award winners that contact us and say, hey, can we come help breathe into these kids' lives? We'd like to come be a part of it. We've got Shelley Coley has been a mentor at our camps. Susan Gibson, who wrote Wide Open Spaces for the Dixie Chicks, arguably one of the biggest selling single songs of our generation, comes in and works with the kids. At our Austin camp this year, I've got Grammy Award-winning producer Lloyd Maines and Terry Hendricks that are going to be our mentors with us over in Austin for the camps. So it's something where not only is it an experience. Walt Wilkins is going to be one of our mentors here in this area at one of the Houston camps this year. So it's just to me, it's just an amazing, cool thing that really just came from an idea of, man, what if we could do this? What if we could give the kids the experience of starting with a blank piece of paper and actually performing a song for their friends and family? Just something that's turned into something really big.
Because I imagine every artist has that memory.
Oh, yeah.
That first time they started, thinking about it, and then they, of course, mom and dad are the first ones to hear it. I would assume, or I would hope,
right?
That's what the first fan they get is their parents, and they write in the whole process, and now they get to go into a studio.
Yeah,
how are they not freaking out?
It is. It's really, really a cool deal, and I think there's such a sense of completion and accomplishment. The other really cool thing that's kind of shown up around this program is that on the nights we have the showcases, like for example here in Houston, we'll write songs on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll record them. Friday we'll come back over to the Do-Si-Do Big Barn and rehearse, just like we were doing dress rehearsal for the showcase. And then the Sunday evening following the week of camp, we do a showcase for
so you can come out and see them.
Anybody that wants to show up. And here's the interesting thing. We now have people that do not have kids involved in the programs that reserve tickets for every showcase in the summer because they are so inspired by the fact that these kids get up there and are like laying it all out there in a song that they've just written. So to me, that's the biggest show of that we're on to something that inspires people, because you've got people that are not parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles of these kids that are going, we want to come see this show simply because when we walk out of here, we feel more inspired than when we showed up. That's a big deal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's such a cool, man, whatever. You've got the coolest little niche in the world.
Man,
I'm not saying that it's a cool opportunity, especially with the dynamics of what you like to do, because I know a lot of people like me, I enjoy what I do every day. Right. And it's so exciting. And And
No,
especially,
thank you, and it's not wasted on me. I feel I am
oh no,
very
no, you're
blessed.
taking full advantage
Yeah,
of what's going on.
I'm very blessed, and I spent a lot of time in the corporate world, and then at one point, just decided that I was put here for more than I was doing, and sometimes that involves a risk, and we took it, and now we're sitting here today, and I don't take too much credit for that. I think there's a bigger hand that's involved in all that.
Well, I hope listeners right now who've never heard of Real Life, Real Music start to listen to it and start to follow it, because you can actually listen to it. I think like you syndicated it on a couple of radio stations, and then you post some stuff to SoundCloud and then YouTube, and then hopefully we'll get to see more and more and more of your older shows, because y'all, like you said, you're in your 14th season, so y'all have an abundance of music. And I kind of want to just open up that treasure chest. I think I just want to know, and I see that's so crazy to me. But you have some great concerts already up on SoundCloud and YouTube, and it's just you have such a great lineup coming up, and especially with local people who are smaller and then all the way to bigger. I like that idea, and now with the songwriting program, the student program every year, that's even more interesting because y'all are basically active all year round. And it's especially with Do-Si-Do, it's local. It's Montgomery County. If you guys didn't know, all these shows really take place at Do-Si-Do. And
most of them do.
And the Music Cafe and also the Big Barn. So because the main recordings are at Do-Si-Do.
They are. Let me play. I'll plug our two festivals real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. In June, and I believe it's going to be June 13, 14, 15. It's either 12, 13, 14, or 13, 14, 15 in June. The weekend after school gets out. Real Life, Real Music is partnering with the Magnolia Community Foundation to present the Real Life, Real Music Magnolia Summerfest. And it's a community, kind of an old-time community festival and get-together. And there's a carnival. There's going to be all kinds of family activities. And then, of course, there's a live music component. And we're doing... on the first night, Jesse Robb Jr., who's in the area, is going to headline that. Sibling Rivalry and a couple of other groups are going to play that night, and those are all very local groups. The next night, which is Saturday night, we're doing Mark Jones and 20 Paces, Folk Family Revival, and then Uncle Lucius is headlining that night. And then on Saturday, there's going to be a... Cowboy Church is going to come out and do a sunrise service. They're going to have some performers, and then we're having Grammy Award winner Rick Trevino play that afternoon. And so it's going to be a full weekend sponsored by the Magnolia Community Foundation. That's just going to be kind of one of those old time family fun festivals.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I know exactly. I already feel it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I literally already feel it.
And there'll be some stuff stronger than lemonade for those that are above 21. And then in October, so that's our summer opportunity that we're really excited about. This is the first year to partner with the Magnolia Community Foundation to do this one. Then, and that's going to be over in Unity Park in Magnolia. Then every October, and this will be our 5th year, we do the Real Life, Real Music Festival at Bernhardt Winery in Plantersville.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of fun with that. We bring in some of our favorite guests from the year to come out there and do a festival, and that's going to be on October 4th this year. So, yeah, we really do stay busy all year round, man. You don't have enough time for me to talk about everything. Couples retreat to Mexico. Josh Greider and his wife Christy are going to go down there with us, and we're going to go down and have some fun in Mexico.
Is that just a personal thing you just threw in there, or is that...
No, that's a Real Life, Real Music. It's called the Enhanced Escape. We do it at the end of August, and so it's it's kind of designed for couples so that we're able to spend some time being intentional, talking about some of the stuff that helps keep you married, you know. But we also get to go do that in an environment where we can have a good time and hear some music and if there's a common thread that runs through everything we do, we try to grab some of those beneath the surface. I like to call them, kind of the deeper meanings behind the songs, and then how can we apply those to life, And so in everything we do, whether it's our student programs and trying to, draw the inspiration out of the students and provide that to the audience, or whether it's, taking couples down to Mexico, or our festivals or our radio tapings, we're just trying to explore life with music as a backdrop. And that's really kind of that's what we do.
That's so cool. I'm so happy you got to come in today.
Man, thank you.
That is so cool. Thank you so much. I wish if you can stay, I wish you could stay, but we're gonna have to take a break.
I'm with you.
I want to play 2 songs that I like. This one, of course, is a Townes Van Sant song. It's kind of a fun one. And then another artist who I grew up with, his name is Carter Beckworth, and he's a pretty cool guy. And so here's some Townes Van Sant, Black Jack Mama. You're listening to Lone Star in the Mornings. We'll be back.
Hey everyone, this is Tina, your host from Retro Saturdays. I wanted to invite you to visit the Lone Star Studios here in downtown Conroe, Texas. We're all volunteers here, and we need your help in serving the Montgomery County area. Radio media is a fun field to be in. Lone Star Internet Radio serves Montgomery County with news, current events, local programming, and of course, music. If you are interested in volunteering and sharing your talents in media, go to irlonestar.com and let us hear from you. Lone Star Internet Radio, serving Montgomery County from the heart of downtown Conroe.